So, hello everybody and welcome! Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network here today. We welcome you back here at BSN Network here on the BSN podcast. It is Friday, May 22nd. Today it is Memorial Day weekend. Hopefully everybody's having a good day so far. I had a good day yesterday. It's Memorial Day weekend. It's going to be a 3-day weekend. So I'm still going to be doing a pod on Monday. Even though it's Memorial Day, I'll still be doing a pod. But hopefully everybody's having a good day so far. This is a weekend to get outside and do all you want. Obviously with the virus and everything, you haven't been able to go many places. But, Memorial Day weekend, you're able to go outside and really, get outside probably the most in this weekend, so it should be fun. Usually in a perfect world right now, baseball season would be in full swing. You would be with your families and stuff for Memorial Day weekend. It's almost the summer. I always thought of Memorial Day weekend after that. That's when it's just a clear path right to summer. Right after Memorial Day, you just got to be focused on summer then. Memorial Day is kind of the final thing, and then it's summer. Memorial Day's fun and everything. Good time to, thank all the veterans and everybody out there who've served in the country. Thank you. And all that for, serving everything. And also, it's just a time to hang out with, your family, friends, and everything like that. But obviously with the virus, you're limited now. You're limited to that. But obviously you still can enjoy, hopefully it's good weather wherever you are. So let's get into it. So today we got a lot of sports to get to. I talked about yesterday how I'm sorry I didn't do MLB all-time team. Well, today I'm doing it. So we got the MLB all-time team / the Yankees Mount Rushmore and the Mets Mount Rushmore. So I have the top 4 Yankees in the Yankees history, and I have 4 Mets, the best 4 Mets in the history of the Mets. And we got MLB all-time team. I didn't do top 10, I did each position. And then I did my Mount Rushmore for the Yankees and the Mets, knowing that I talk about New York sports. So I did my Mount Rushmore for the Yankees and the Mets. One of these days I might do a Mount Rushmore for all the MLB teams. I just thought, since I talk about New York sports, let's do Yankees and the Mets. So we got that, and then we got Bradley Beal to the Nets. There's a rumor that exploded yesterday. The Nets are in contact with Bradley Beal, who is a very good guard for the Wizards. We got something to talk about that. And we got Cole Anthony and the Knicks. Obviously, there's a rumor the Knicks might get him, but now there's also rumors that they might not get him. So I'll talk about that coming up later on in the show. Let's kick it off this Friday, right before Memorial Day weekend. Enjoy it the best we can, and let's get started. So we got the MLB all-time team. So like I said, I don't always like to make these because they're very, very difficult. They're very hard. There's just so many good players. And like I said, we're talking about I said the same thing. If we were to be talking about the NBA best winners, Bill Russell's number 1. We're talking about the MLB best winners, Yogi Berra is number 1. Right? Yogi Berra is 13-time world champion, right? We're talking best MLB winners, Yogi Berra probably number 1. We're talking best pitchers, I will tell you in a second. But you could split into different categories. You could split into many different categories, right? I did it in position. I'm not going to give you my top 10. I'm going to give you my top positions. So I'm going to give you all the positions. I'm going to give you starting pitcher, relief pitcher, catcher, all the way infield, outfield, and then I'm going to give you my best DH of all time, which was very difficult. The DH position was actually hard. It wasn't too hard. I think I knew who I had all along. And why I don't like to, you could split it into so many different categories, right? You have best winners, right? MLB, probably Yogi Berra. NBA, Bill Russell, right? Right, you can split into best categories. Best winners, best hitters, best home run, best batting average, best ERA, you can go into best pitchers, you can go into best outfielders, you can go into clutch, you can go into the most clutchest players ever, you can go into players who are most clutch, right? You can go into all those different categories. I'm going to give you my bet. If this would almost be like my all-time team. This is going to be almost like my all-time team, right? This is pretty much going to be my all-time team, right? The starting pitcher, through the relief pitcher, catcher, first base, second base, shortstop, pitcher, third base, right field, center field, left field. I'm going to give you all of that right now. This would almost be my all-time team, except I'm not giving you the whole starting 5 rotation. I'm not giving you all my 5 pitchers in the starting rotation. I'm not giving you the whole bullpen. I'm giving you one relief pitcher. So this would technically be my all-time team. And you might think the shortstop is a little controversial, right? I'm a Yankees fan. You probably think I picked Derek Jeter. I didn't pick him. I think there's a better one. But this is my list right here. I don't know if you can see it. That is my whole list of MLB players. Okay, so let's start it off. Let's get started because I'm going to talk about this for a while, right? I did this with the NBA. It's a while. So let's get started. So I got the DH, David Ortiz. Best DH of all time, David Ortiz. There might be, like I said, there's a couple on this list that you could go either way. You could go with Edgar Martinez on this one as well. Edgar Martinez was a very good player. I'm going to go with David Ortiz, though. As a Yankees fan, this hurts me a little bit because I hate the Red Sox. I can't stand any Boston sports team. I hate the Celtics. I hate the Patriots. I hate the Bruins. And I hate the Red Sox. I hate all Boston sports teams. For some reason, New York sports and Boston sports are like oil and water. They hate each other, so I can't root for a Boston sports team. Okay, so it pains to do this. I never hated David Ortiz, right? I never hated him. I wasn't a big fan. I wasn't a guy like, oh, David Ortiz is up, hopefully hits a home run. I never hated him. I never really liked him either. He was okay. I liked, sometimes, the guy had raw talent. The guy could crank a home run. He reminded me a little bit of like I'm not comparing him to Babe Ruth, but he reminded me a little bit like a Babe Ruth. Like, he's almost like you need him to come up big with a home run, he got you. He can do it. That 2013 World Series, I'm pretty sure, is when they made it, when they crushed the Cardinals, or I think it was the Cardinals. Yeah, they beat the Cardinals. During that, it was the ALCS. I think they were playing the Tigers. It was like bases loaded or whatever. They were down by it was like 5-1. They needed a big hit out of David Ortiz. He came up, hit a grand slam. Right? David Ortiz always came up clutch. We're talking clutchest players. David Ortiz would probably be top 5 on that list. David Ortiz, 10-time All-Star, 3-time World Series MVP, or 3-time World Series champion, and batting average, he batted .286 throughout his career. 286 on his career. Okay, so like I said, you can go the Edgar Martinez route, you could go whatever route. You could go, it really doesn't matter. But what I'm trying to say here is that I think David Ortiz, if you're going right now, if you're talking to me right now, I would think David Ortiz is the better player. I would think David Ortiz is the better player than Edgar Martinez. It's close. It's really close. And hold up. I gotta get the page back up. Okay, sorry. I accidentally pressed the wrong button. So David Ortiz is by far, I think, the better player. He came up clutch in big moments and did a lot of big things. Okay. Starting pitcher. This, once again, there's a couple people that had a couple different ones. I've always said this before. Nolan Ryan is the best pitcher of all time. He's one of the better players of all time. Nolan Ryan, by far, is one of the better players of all time. Nolan Ryan, to me, is the best pitcher of all time. Okay, this is a guy that was strikeout after strikeout after strikeout after strikeout after strikeout after strikeout after strikeout. I could keep going on. This guy was one of the best strikeout pitchers ever to play the game of baseball. He was an excellent pitcher. His off-speed was dominant. His fastball was nice. He had a good curveball. His slider was nice. He was able to throw that slider, had good spin on it, had a little late spin on it. What's so good about that is you got a late spin. Hitters would think it's a fastball coming all of a sudden it drops down. He had nasty stuff. Nolan Ryan is the best pitcher of all time, in my opinion. Starting pitcher. If I were to make an all-time team, Nolan Ryan would be the starting pitcher. 8-time All-Star, 1-time World Series champion, and ERA 3.19. Right, that ERA isn't amazing. It's not horrible. It's about average, right? Like I said, he led the NL, he led the AL, I think, twice or whatever, I think, in ERA. This guy has always maintained a good ERA. You can't go off of all his whole career ERA. You have to break it down. But this was a guy that wasn't even so much known for the ERA. It was just the ability to throw K after K after K after K. The ability to throw K after K after K after K was just unbelievable. So far, I have David Ortiz, a.k.a. Big Papi, starting pitcher, Nolan Ryan. Next up, relief pitcher, one of my favorites, enter Sandman, Mariano Rivera. Mariano Rivera, you can't even make the argument there's a better relief pitcher out there. This is one of the best baseball players of all time. I know this is coming from a Yankees fan, but come on. Any baseball fan out there can agree. If you had Nolan Ryan going through the 8th inning, you said, you know what, I need another player come in, bring in enter Sandman. Bring in Sandman. Bring in Mariano Rivera. He's the best closer in baseball. It's very hard to make an argument about that. He's one of the best closers in baseball. Mariano Rivera was unreal. This is a guy who was almost automatic. And what's so crazy about Mariano Rivera is when he started his career, he wasn't very good. The Yankees were like, what are we getting out of this? Like, what's happening to this guy? It wasn't until, I think, his second season where he started to come along with the relief role, the closing role, and all of a sudden, unanimous Hall of Famer, best closer of all time. I mean, what more has to be said? What more has to be said? Unanimous Hall of Famer, best closer of all time, with one of the best franchises in baseball, big Yankees, one of the best franchises in baseball, in the biggest city in the United States. What more do I have to say? The Yankees closer, Mariano Rivera, best relief pitcher of all time. 13-time All-Star, 5-time World Series champion, ERA of 2.21. Yankees are the chase for 28 this season. 27-time world champions is all I have to really say, and he's been a part of 5 of them. Catcher, this one could go either way. There's a guy I like to call Johnny Bench, one of the best catchers of all time. Also a player I really like, Yogi Berra. He's one of my favorite Yankees of all time. Yogi Berra, I'm putting Yogi Berra in front of Johnny Bench only because the amount of World Series this guy has. If, like I said, he reminds me, he's a Bill Russell of baseball. Yogi Berra is the Bill Russell of baseball. Bill Russell in the NBA, 11-time champion, greatest winner of all time. Yogi, 13-time champion, greatest winner of all time. They are almost exactly the same. Their play was very good, but their winning was even better. If it was not for their winning, Bill Russell probably wouldn't be out. I mean, Bill Russell was unreal, don't get me wrong, but you don't know if he would be top 5 in the NBA if it was never for his winning ability. Same with Yogi Berra. You don't know if he would be counted as one of the best catchers of all time if it was never for his winning ability. Managing was unreal for him, and playing 13-time champion is just unreal. Unreal. He's the best winner in MLB baseball history. 13-time champion. 18-time All-Star, 13-time World Series champion, 285 ERA or batting average. 285. To maintain 250 and higher throughout your career is solid. Over 300 is unreal. You don't see that happen. Very rarely do you see that happen. Yogi Berra, what blew me away about him was his batting average. Caught the only perfect game in the history of the World Series, and his winning ability. 13-time World Series champion. Unreal. That's what happens when you go to the Yankees. Right? It wasn't not all of them were with the Yankees, but the Yankees, you can agree, is the most winningest franchise in the history, probably. One of the most winningest franchises in the history of the MLB. The Yankees. The big old Yankees. And the Mets, and their Mets fans are still so proud of the 2 World Series they have. The 2 World Series. They're still celebrating the 1969 World Series. They're still celebrating it strong. Woo! We're still celebrating it. You only got 2. We've got 27. First base. This one, there's no really big argument. Lou Gehrig, right? He's by far, the guy was just unreal. It's upsetting that his career had to end short. Because he could have done so much more. He didn't play that long. He could have played so much longer. But in the time he was in the MLB, he was one of the best players on the Yankees, one of the best players in the MLB. Lou Gehrig, like I said, he won 6 World Series. He didn't play in the MLB too long. It had to be cut short. But if he would have played even longer, I think he could have been even one of the better baseball players of all time. He is. I say he's top 15, top 10. This is a guy that was just so good. He was just so, you can just rely on him so much. He was just such a reliable player. He was just such a reliable, you needed to play, you needed him to do something, he would do it for you. He was just so reliable. You could always rely on him to come up big. He wasn't too big of a power hitter, but, he was singles, doubles. He hit all runs, but, like I said, you don't need to be a big power hitter to make money in the MLB. In any league, you don't need to be a great three-point shooter in the NBA. You don't need to be a great goal scorer in the NHL. You could get assists all day long and make money. Same in football. You don't need to be no big-name quarterback. You could be a kicker and make a living off of it, right? It's just there's the little things. Lou Gehrig did the little things that helped out the Yankees so much back then. 7-time All-Star, 6-time World Series champion, batting average of .340. That's what blew me away, and I was like, .340 batting average, first place, yes, indeed. .340 batting average throughout your career is unreal. Unreal. It's just out of this world crazy good. Second base, this one's debatable. You could go a couple ways with this one. Some people had a different guy in. I put Jackie Robinson. First, the whole rights movement in the MLB, getting black players to play MLB baseball was huge for him, right? He was one of the first really known black baseball players in the MLB. He really controlled that movement to now. If it was really never for Jackie Robinson, I'm sure by now there probably would be, but he used to not. He got a lot of hate, and that's why I put Jackie Robinson at second base, because he got a lot of hate. Everybody hated Jackie Robinson. Everybody, they kind of bullied him. They would say mean things to him. They did this and that and this and that to him, but yet he blocked that stuff out. And what makes me so fascinated in Jackie Robinson is he blocked all that stuff out, right? The racial comments about him, I guess you could so call it bullying, not physically, but, everybody was calling him mean names, saying he shouldn't be, in the MLB and all that. And what makes me so fascinated about him is, he kind of blocked that stuff out and just played the game of baseball. And that's what I like so much about him. He wasn't so worried on that. He wasn't, yelling back at the fans. He just blocked that stuff out, went ahead, went out there and was one of the best baseball players of all time. That's what for the time he played, the time that he played baseball, with the whole civil rights and everything, all that movement going on, the whole the black people playing baseball and everything. He was able to block that stuff out, and he really just focused on playing the game of baseball and was amazing, was great. The Brooklyn Dodgers and the New York Yankees, them two battling together. They had a couple World Series against each other. Those were always, I've seen the highlights of them. Those are always, I'm sure for people that were around back then and all that, those were probably always fun to watch. Going to a Yankees-Brooklyn Dodgers baseball game was probably cool. It was probably amazing. Jackie Robinson definitely was a fun guy to watch. And obviously is now remembered around the MLB. 6-time All-Star, 1-time World Series champion, batting average of .311. Over 3, unreal, top baseball player of all time. If you have an over 3 batting average and you were a very good player, right, you can be considered one of the better baseball players of all time. Shortstop. This one, I think, is very easy. I think this was one of the easier ones. You could say Derek Jeter. You could say that. But I'm going to go ahead and say I think a guy who's better than him. Derek Jeter's probably one of the better shortstops, but I think Honus Wagner. I put Honus Wagner here. Honus Wagner, I think, is one of the most expensive baseball cards out there. Honus Wagner was in the league a long time ago. I think his first season was one of his first season was in 1887 or whatever. He was, and that's the thing with Honus Wagner. A lot of people overshadow him sometimes because there was no All-Star game. The All-Star game didn't start in the MLB until 1933 was the first ever All-Star game. That's why you see some of these older players only make it to a couple of All-Star games because they were playing way before the All-Star game. Like Honus Wagner, he didn't make it to one All-Star. He was done with his career by the All-Star game. 1933 was the first ever All-Star game. Honus Wagner, I think, finished out his career in like 1921. He started in the 1800s. He was definitely way back then, over 100 years ago. Honus Wagner played, and that's why I think a lot of people see, Derek Jeter made it to all these All-Star games, and Honus Wagner didn't make it to any. But you got to realize Honus Wagner played completely before the All-Star era. There was no such thing as an All-Star game for the MLB. Honus Wagner was an unreal player. I'm sure if the All-Star game was back then with Honus Wagner, I'm sure he would have made it to plenty of them. Probably more than a 7-8 time All-Star. He probably would have made it to plenty of them. But I've got some more stats than just All-Star here. He's an 8-time NL batting champion, 1-time World Series champion. He had a batting average of .329. Like I said, batting average over 300 is unreal. 329 nonetheless is very quality. We'll round that up to about 330. Like I said, he was before the All-Star game era, but I'm sure, I can guarantee it. Pulling a Joe Namath here, I can guarantee it. If he played 1933 or whatever, let's just say the All-Star game was back in the 1800s when he played and into the early 1900s, he probably would have made it to plenty of All-Star games. Probably would have many All-Star games. Honus Wagner at shortstop. Third base, Mike Schmidt. Mike Schmidt had a very good career with the Phillies. This is a guy that was always, he was a good hitter. Like I said, he was another guy that really that really just kind of blew a lot of people away. He was that guy that a lot of people he was just automatic. Like 90% of these players on these lists, automatic. Right? I'm not going to reveal the final ones because I don't want to spoil it, but the players that I have read so far, David Ortiz, Big Papi, whatever you want to call him, Nolan Ryan, Mariano Rivera, Yogi Berra, Lou Gehrig, Jackie Robinson, Honus Wagner, and now Mike Schmidt. All of them were pretty much guarantees. They all came in. Yankees, for example, Mariano Rivera. It's a 1-0 year or whatever, 3-2 game going to the bottom of the ninth. 80-90% of the time, Mariano Rivera came in the clutch. Same with Mike Schmidt. Mike Schmidt was able to get hits in big moments, in big games, at big times, and everybody, that's what made him so famous. That's what made him so good, right? All these players were very clutch, right? That's why going through making a clutch list of players would be difficult. Right? That's what made, Mariano Rivera so special. He threw one pitch. He literally threw one pitch. And nobody could touch it because of how dominant he got it. He practiced at that pitch after practice after practice after practice. And he became so good at it. All these players did that. That's why they're so good. Mike Schmidt, always, he probably practiced all the time. Coming up in big moments, Mike Schmidt always made big plays. 12-time All-Star, 1-time World Series champion, batting average of .267. Let me remind you, too, his defense was very good, too. He made some All-Star plays out there. So was Honus Wagner. Honus Wagner had a couple, Honus Wagner has some career highlights. I don't know, I'm not talking about, career highlights that I've seen. I'm pretty sure that you look on, his errors and stuff, he made very little. He was a very good shortstop. So with Mike Schmidt. He was making stellar plays down at third base. Left field, Ted Williams. One of the better left fielders of all time. I don't some people say, what are you talking about? Barry Bonds. I don't put Barry Bonds in this list because for all we know, I've said this a million times, Barry Bonds every day he woke up ate eggs, bacon, and steroids with maybe a little bit of orange juice pumped on the sauce, right? I'm not going to lie, I don't like to put Barry Bonds in a list. Everybody always says, why aren't you putting Barry Bonds? Because the guy took steroids. If he don't take steroids, it shows. The season he didn't take steroids, he wasn't even that good. He pumped his body up with steroids, and there he goes, hitting all these home runs, whatever, 762. Right? That's why I don't like to put Barry Bonds. Yeah, sure, he was good, but it was because he was taking steroids. Right? He was taking steroids. I mean, who knows? Like I said, who knows? Some of these old players back then could be taking steroids, right? For all we know, Babe Ruth could have been taking steroids because they didn't know back then. They didn't know really anything about the steroid. It was until, the 90s and stuff, whatever, the steroid era or whatever, that stuff came around. Mark McGwire, Barry Bonds. David Ortiz says he never took steroids. Some people do say he did. He never says he did. You'll never find that out because David Ortiz. Did I say Babe Ruth? I meant David Ortiz. I mean, people said David Ortiz took steroids. He said he never did, but you'll never get David Ortiz to ever say that. Obviously you got to give him the benefit of the doubt and say he didn't. But I mean, for a guy, everybody says that David Ortiz took steroids. Some people do. He said he didn't, but David Ortiz isn't going to come out and say he did, right? No, he's not going to say it. I don't think he did. I mean, he just didn't. I mean, he was always a bigger guy. You knew Barry Bonds took steroids. You know somebody takes steroids. You knew Barry Bonds took steroids because that year before he took steroids, when he was with the Pirates, he was thin. He was nothing. He wasn't even a power hitter. The next year or whatever, when he was with the Giants, there was no way he was all jacked the next year, and you knew there was something wrong. David Ortiz was always a bigger, stockier kind of guy. It's not like he was skinny one year and then all of a sudden jacked up the other year, big muscles. You can kind of tell. So I don't think so. That's why I didn't put Barry Bonds on my list, because the guy took steroids. Ted Williams, though, my left fielder, 19-time All-Star, 2-time Triple Crown winner. He never won a World Series, or at least from what I saw, he didn't win a World Series. And a batting average of 344. Which is just crazy, 344 is just out of this world. I can check again. I'm 90% sure Ted Williams never won a World Series. Let me check. Let's see, did Ted Williams? Yes. Yeah. Look, Ted Williams has almost every honor imaginable, with 19 All-Star appearances, 2-time AL MVPs, 2 AL MVPs, two-time Triple Crown, and a Hall of Fame induction. However, the Red Sox great never captured a World Series. He went to one, I guess, never captured it. Okay, because I looked today and he never had it. But when I saw that, I was like, really? If you would think Ted Williams would have a World Series, because all these guys on these lists have World Series wins, except from what I'm seeing, Ted Williams, right? Yeah. From what I see, yeah. David Ortiz World Series, Nolan Ryan World Series, Mariano Rivera World Series, Yogi World Series, obviously World Series, Lou Gehrig World Series, Jackie Robinson World Series, Honus Wagner World Series, Mike Schmidt World Series, Ted Williams didn't win a World Series, and I'll go into the players that just in a second here, but let me get back up my other page here. But yeah, so he never won a World Series, and that's why I think some people overshadow him and might say, oh, Barry Bonds. The stats might be better on Barry. Maybe the stats are close. Barry Bonds obviously is the leader in home runs with 762. Ted Williams doesn't have that, but it's because Barry Bonds took steroids. You got to realize that. Center field, the say hey kid, Willie Mays. This guy, he was so reliable. His amount of All-Star games just go to show you how consistent he was. His outfielding was great. He was a good hitter, good outfielder, made some spectacular plays in the outfielder, was an excellent hitter, could get you home runs, could get you singles and doubles. He was a pretty good power hitter. The say hey kid, Willie Mays, 24-time All-Star, one-time World Series champion, batting average of 302. Anything over 300 is just insane. Even 286, even 200s are good, for players like this. And it's just the All-Star games. The All-Star games blow me away. 24-time All-Star. 24-time. Think about that for a second. 24-time All-Star. Just unreal. And that's why he's so consistent. Making an All-Star game consistently for 24 years blows me away. Really just blows me away. Say hey kid, Willie Mays, just crazy good. Out of this world good. 24 All-Stars is really all I have to say about that. Babe Ruth, right field, Babe Ruth. You can make the argument, a lot of people have Babe Ruth number 1 on their list if you're going to make a top 10 list. I didn't because it's difficult, and I believe I like to go by position. I could have done that with the NBA, but the NBA only has 5 positions, and, you can't even go by that sometimes, because sometimes LeBron and all them, they register as, power forwards, small forwards, or whatever, right? He plays point guard sometimes, and really, you can't go by that. The NBA sometimes just so odd with the positions. You'll see a forward playing point guard, right? It's just the positions are so out of whack. That's why I didn't do positions. That's why I did my top 10. I did positions for the MLB because it's so hard. Babe Ruth, you could say, is probably the best baseball player of all time if you're going to make a top 10 list. I mean, the guy was unreal, the famous pointed shot. By the way, comment down below, do you think he actually pointed? I'm actually working on something right now, if he actually did. One of the biggest mysteries people have in sports, did he actually also the Immaculate Reception with Franco Harris, the reception that really nobody knows? Did Babe Ruth really call a shot? Or was he pointing at the dugout? Was he pointing at the pitcher? Obviously, being a Yankees fan, and I just see it. From what I've seen pictures, it looked like he called a shot. Comment down below. Do you think Babe Ruth called a shot? Babe Ruth, two-time All-Star. Like you said, he was only two-time All-Star because he played back in he played back like early 1900s. So 1933 was the first year the All-Star game was. So he only made it to two of them because 1933 was the first year of the All-Star game. That's why sometimes it's tough to judge these guys. Some people just go off of the All-Stars, but you have to look at the other stuff too. Like All-Star, yeah, is great. I love to look at All-Stars because if you make it to, for example, Willie Mays, he made it to 24 of them. That goes to show you he was a very consistent player. Babe Ruth, two-time All-Star, seven-time World Series champion, batting average 342. You could say this was one of the best home run hitters ever. Honorable mentions. Now I go into my honorable mentions on this list. Hank Aaron, I think technically is the leader in home runs. Because subtract Barry Bonds, steroid. Hank Aaron's there. Hank Aaron, honorable mentions. I'll give Hank Aaron. I'll give Johnny Bench an honorable mention. I'll give Joe DiMaggio an honorable mention. Who else? I'll give Gibson. Forget his first name, but Gibson on the Cardinals. I think he had the lowest ERA in a season before, 112. I think it was. Who else? Looking at the list. I don't want to really it's okay, but I guess you could go ahead and say George Brett's an honorable mention. He was a very good player. I just think there's a couple players on here that are definitely better than him, but I guess you could put him at an honorable mention. For pitcher, I know I'm not a Mets fan. I can't stand the Mets, but I guess you could put Tom Seaver as an honorable mention on here. For pitcher, I think Nolan Ryan holds his ground at that pitcher spot. I really do, and I'm not just saying that just because I really do I feel like he holds. There's a couple players on this list that hold their ground. Nolan Ryan holds the starting pitcher ground. Relief pitcher Mariano Rivera holds that. Like you can't make the argument somebody else is better than Mariano. Like Mariano Rivera is by far. It was just guaranteed. Who else holds their ground? Willie Mays. I don't know if you can really make an argument there's a better center fielder. I mean, whatever. Maybe Mickey Mantle, but I think Willie Mays is better. Right field, Babe Ruth. I think everybody has right field at Babe Ruth. I think Babe Ruth, you kind of holds his ground there. Some players that you could probably switch. Johnny Bench, you could probably put in front of Yogi Berra if you really wanted to. You could make the argument about that. Yogi Berra, you could probably say Jackie Robinson could get replaced by Hornsby from the Cardinals. He was the other second baseman. He was kind of my top two finalists for this list. You can make the argument that he was. I only put Jackie Robinson because of the time he played with everybody hating on him since he was a black baseball player. I put him there because of the way he blocked out the noise and the way he just blocked out all the distractions and just focused on playing the sport sport of baseball. That's what I find so fascinating about him, and he was one of the best baseball players of all time. You could probably say maybe Mike Schmidt. Some people have their list as Banks, who was a player for the Cubs. There's a couple players on here. Is there only a couple players on here that you can definitely make arguments? I mean, like I said, first base, Albert Pujols, some people say, but I think Lou Gehrig's better than Albert Pujols. I don't think there's much of an argument there. Maybe you could, but I think Lou Gehrig's one of the best baseball players of all time. Like I said, if he played, his career got cut short. He played a little bit longer. He could have been even better. His stats could have been even better. But from the short amount, he didn't play that long. For the short amount of time he was with the Yankee. I shouldn't say short because he played there decently long, but his career got cut short. Lou Gehrig was definitely one of the best first basemen in the MLB ever. Honus Wagner, it's tough, but some people have Honus Wagner. Yeah, Honus Wagner. I'm sorry. Shortstop, some people have Banks. Some people, third base, have Mike Schmidt being replaced with George Brett. You can make the argument on that one, too. Not much of an argument. I think Mike Schmidt's better. But, Honus Wagner definitely is, I think, secured his spot at shortstop. So this is my final team. This is my final all-time starting team. And then we'll get into the Mount Rushmore because we're already running up on like 34 minutes here. And we still got 2 other topics to talk about. So we got designated hitter, David Ortiz. Starting pitcher, Nolan Ryan. Relief pitcher, Mariano Rivera. Catcher, Yogi Berra. First base, Lou Gehrig. Second base, Jackie Robinson. Shortstop, Honus Wagner. Third base, Mike Schmidt. Left field, Ted Williams. Center field, Willie Mays. Right field, Babe Ruth. Now we go into the Mount Rushmore of the Yankees Mount Rushmore and the Mets Mount Rushmore. Here we go. Yankees Mount Rushmore. You should know Mount Rushmore is. Everybody should know Mount Rushmore is. Mount Rushmore is that place in Dakota, South or North Dakota. I think it's in South Dakota. I think it's in South. I'm gonna look it up because I don't want to be false on that one. I should know that. I think it's in South Dakota. Mount Rushmore. Yes, Keystone, South Dakota. Okay, got it. Okay, yeah, it's in South Dakota. I had a feeling. I knew it was in Dakota. One of the Dakotas. I had a feeling it was in South Dakota. So Mount Rushmore. So Mount Rushmore has the 4 presidents: Lincoln, Washington, Roosevelt. Forget the other. I'm gonna look at it. Let me find it. Presidents on Mount Rushmore. So it's Roosevelt, Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, and Thomas Jefferson. Okay, so that is it. So Mount Rushmore obviously shows all that. So Mount Rushmore is the national memorial, national park, and everything. It's a cool spot to go to if you ever would like to go or whatever. You're near that area. It's a cool spot. So I'm gonna do my Mount Rushmore, my 4 best players in Yankees history, 4 best players in Mets history for the Mount Rushmore. I shouldn't say 4 best. This should just be the Mount Rushmore. The big names, the good players, the very good players. So Yankees, Mount Rushmore. Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle, Lou Gehrig, Mariano Rivera. Okay, honorable mentions, Joe DiMaggio. I think Mariano Rivera might be a tad better just because I know Joe DiMaggio, with that big, I think it was with the big, hit streak. I think it was him with the big hit streak and everything. Joe DiMaggio. You can make the argument Joe DiMaggio is in the Yankees Mount Rushmore, but I instead put Mariano Rivera just because he's the best closer of all time, and I just think that's just the right move to do it. Right, he's already on the list. So my Yankees Mount Rushmore. Okay. Yankees Mount Rushmore. Let me just pull it up here. So Joe DiMaggio. Obviously, honorable mentions. You could put Joe DiMaggio. I guess you could put Derek Jeter, Don Mattingly, Thurman Munson. Joe DiMaggio, obviously with the historic 56-game hit streak. I'm just trying to think of off the top of my head. There's a ton of them. Of players. I guess, this is kind of hard. I guess you could put Andy Pettitte, but he would be probably at the bottom of the list. But so my Yankees Mount Rushmore. My final one: Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle, Lou Gehrig, Mariano Rivera. The biggest honorable mention: Joe DiMaggio, 56-game hit streak. What more do I have to say? So that's my Yankees Mount Rushmore: Babe Ruth, the great Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle, Lou Gehrig, Mariano Rivera. Mets Mount Rushmore now. Okay, this one, there's some honorable mentions, but this is my Mets Mount Rushmore. Tom Seaver, Mike Piazza, David Wright, Doc Gooden. Okay, that is my my one for the New York Mets. Right, the Mets, they have a decent history. There's the Mets. You could probably make the argument David Wright shouldn't be on there. You could say there's a couple other players that could be on there. But that's kind of how it really all depends. That's all opinion. It's really all opinion. The David Wright obviously is, I think it was the second Mets captain. whatever the key, I don't know. I think he was the second Mets captain. Definitely Tom Seaver, Mike Piazza, and Eric Gooden was definitely up there. Some honorable mentions. Keith Hernandez. You can put Keith Hernandez as an honorable mention. He was a very good player. Even Darryl Strawberry you could put as an honorable mention. So the final Mets Mount Rushmore: Tom Seaver, Mike Piazza, David Wright, Doc Gooden. Probably the two biggest honorable mentions probably might be tied. Keith Hernandez, Darryl Strawberry. Maybe Darryl Strawberry in front. They were very close, though, together. So this is it. So I'm going to conclude it one more time. This is my MLB all-time team. Or MLB all-time, whatever you want to say. Designated DH, David Ortiz. Starting pitcher, Nolan Ryan. Relief pitcher, Mariano Rivera. Catcher, Yogi Berra. First base, Lou Gehrig. Second base, Jackie Robinson. Shortstop, Honus Wagner. Third base, Mike Schmidt. Left field, Ted Williams. Center field, Willie Mays. Right field, Babe Ruth. Yankees, Mount Rushmore, Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle, Lou Gehrig, Mariano Rivera. Big honorable mention, Joe DiMaggio. Mets, Mount Rushmore, Tom Seaver, Mike Piazza, David Wright, Doc Gooden. Two big honorable mentions. Probably better, I think Darryl Strawberry would probably be the big honorable mention there, and maybe Keith Hernandez. But Darryl Strawberry was very good. So that's what I got. Always like to see Babe Ruth on the list. One of the great Yankees of all time. Probably is the greatest Yankee you can say of all time. So that is what I got for the MLB all-time. I guess you can call this my all-time team, but one of these, maybe I'll do it one of these days. I'll do my whole MLB all-time. So I'll do all 5 of the starters. I'll do the head coach, the best head coaches of all time. I'll do the whole bullpen. One of these days I'll do it. I don't know when. I don't know if it's going to be. I don't know when. But that was my MLB all-time team. So that's what I got for that. Now we go into basketball. So we just went from baseball to basketball because we're going to call it 2 basketball things. So a report came out yesterday, and I knew this. But Bradley Beal possibly going to the Nets. The Nets definitely. So the Nets have internally discussed ways to acquire Bradley Beal. Trade packages to land Nets. There's Kyrie, KD, Bradley, big 3. The Beal big 3. Trade packages. So let's run through some of the trade packages that could be happening. So the Nets, obviously, we should all know this. The Nets got KD, Kyrie in the offseason of last season. And we're trying to make a splash again this year. Getting Bradley Beal, Wizards guard, one of the best guards in the NBA, on our team. This would be huge, right? We have Dinwiddie as our other guard. Chris Chiozza, you can't even make an argument. That's really a better guard than Dinwiddie. Chris Chiozza, I know that was not a good face, but Chris Chiozza, Dinwiddie might leave after the end of the season. He might leave and go get his money somewhere else. I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be happy about that. I don't really care. It would be in the middle. I'm not a big fan of Dinwiddie. Here's my things with Dinwiddie that I don't like. Over dribbles, ball hog, shoots a lot, unnecessary shots, doesn't pass much. Those are my 5 things with Dinwiddie. Some parts of his game I like. He can over dribble, but there's sometimes he can make good decisions. There's some times where he can make good decisions. One thing I don't like about Dinwiddie is under pressure, not a great player. He has hit a couple clutch shots, but not to the amount that we want. Under pressure, not a great player. Now you could say, oh, well, did you see Kyrie in the first game last year slip? Yeah, I did. But Dinwiddie still under pressure. I just think it's all about him sometimes. I think Dinwiddie thinks he's the only guy in the court sometimes. Free throw shooting this year was a big whoopsie for Dinwiddie. Did not have a good year at all. He shot like 70%, which might seem good. I noticed what happened was he was like pushing it. Like he was like, you see him like shaking here. He was like this. He was literally like shaking and then kind of just pushed it. Like it wasn't good. It was not a good free throw shooting for him. Definitely not something that, as a Nets fan, I like to see at all. Didn't like to see that. But, so Bradley Beal, Wizards guard. I've always liked him. John Wall is the other guard there, but he's injured. Bradley Beal's really been able to take over that team in that time. Bradley Beal, really good player. I've seen the Nets play him a couple times. I've seen him just play in general. He's a very good player. Love to see him come here. The big 3 with KD, Kyrie, and Bradley Beal would be out of this world good. That would be literally, then that's a championship team right there. So help may be on the way. This is from Bleacher Report, May 22nd, 2020. So that was today. So Bleacher Report reported this. Help may be on the way. to Kyrie, Kevin Durant, and the Brooklyn Nets. And if it comes from the Bradley Beal, Brooklyn will have one of the game's most talented big threes. Impressed in their championship winner, the Brooklyn Nets are a market for a third star and have internally discussed avenues to acquiring Wizards guard Bradley Beal. Sevon Barnley wrote Daily News. It's unclear whether Beal will become available through his circumstances have prompted speculation. The two-way guard is among the league's highest paid players on the Wizards team with a low ceiling. If Washington ever decides to stir into a rebuild, teams will likely be lining up with offers for Beal. The 26-year-old two-guard is averaging 30.5 points per game, 6.1 assists, and 3 threes in a game in 2020, and 3 threes. So he's averaging about 3 made threes a game. In 2019-2020, Curry and James Harden are the only other players in the league to post 36 3 campaigns. Unreal. And his game seems plenty portable. He's already shown an ability to coexist with another ball-dominant star in John Wall. It would be likely even more of an adjustment to play alongside KD and Kyrie, but shooting is one of the most important ingredients in these super team recipes, and Beal is a career 38% shooter from deep. Unreal. The asking price will have a lot to do with how many teams are interested, but Brooklyn figures have enough to at least present an interesting possibilities. In January, Kyrie had some eyebrow-raising comments about the team supporting cast, and since then the idea of trade has hovered over the Nets. It means it's transparent, it's out there, it's glaring in terms of pieces that we need to be on the next level. I'm going to continue to reiterate, we're going to do the best with the guys that we have in locker room, and we're sorry stuff, moving pieces. And everything. This is from Kyrie right here. Collectively, I feel like we have great pieces, but it's pretty glaring. We need one or more or two more pieces that will completely myself, Durant, DeAndre, Temple, Dinwiddie, Karras, LeVert, and we'll see how that evolves. End quote. Well, to get the pieces like Beal, the Nets would likely need to be willing to part with some players Kyrie named. 4 starters, it would likely be in triggering young stars' salary matching contracts. Picks to get Washington to budge. Brooklyn can flexibly send all of that. The deal. Karras, LeVert, $16.2 million. Dinwiddie, $11.4 million. 2020 first-round pick. 2023 first-round pick. 2021 first-round pick. I don't know if I said 2023. 2023 or 2021 first-round pick. 2023 first-round pick and a 2021 second-round pick to Atlanta from the Atlanta Hawks for Bradley Beal, $28.8 million. Now, there's always rumors about Dinwiddie possibly leaving this season. He did say he might just walk into free agency or whatever. He said that he's going to post a fan poll, and whoever wants him to go there, he's going to have to go there, but that team's going to have to also offer him a contract. I like Karras, LeVert. I don't want us to give away 2 good players, because then we're getting a good player, and then we all of a sudden are a bench, right? Brooklyn probably needs to open with something along these lines. LeVert may not be quite as young as you think. He turns 26 in August. But he still has a few years of on-court development left in him. This season, he posted career high in points, 17.7, three-point percentage, and 38.1. And showed a flash of brilliance in a 51-point game in March versus, I didn't say this, but versus the Celtics. I remember watching that game. Went up for like 20 in the fourth quarter. We ended up winning that game. Dinwiddie is older still, but even at 27, he too is on the rise. He's averaging 20.6 points per game, 6.8 assists, and 31.2 minutes in 2019. Mostly as a starter, Kyrie's injury induced absence, and his 33rd offensive box plus minutes. This will be the last one. The chance either reaching the level Beal has been for the last couple of years are low. But again, the possibilities of exist if Washington chooses to rebuild and replacing Beal's money average $33.5 million per season, 2022-2023. With that, LeVert, $17.5 million average salary, 2022-2023. Dinwiddie, who has player option for 2021-2022, opens up with significant flexibility. He did say he has a player option, so he might leave at the end of this year. Like I said, I wouldn't be happy if Dinwiddie leaves. I wouldn't be mad. I'd be in the middle. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't bother me if he leaves. And like I said, there's a couple things with Dinwiddie I don't like. Ball hog, over dribbles sometimes, shoots a lot, can't come up big in big moments. Sometimes doesn't really know either how to really pass all the time. Right? He doesn't really know how to pass all the time. That's what I got. So Beal coming to the Nets would be huge for us. Beal coming to the Nets. We would maybe have to give up 2 good players in LeVert and Dinwiddie. But definitely to get Beal, who's one of the best, like you heard in the article from You heard in the article from Bleacher Report, he's one of the best two-way guards of the NBA right now. He was able to play with John Wall. Obviously, John Wall's injured, but he knows how it feels to play against a star. John Wall's a star if he's healthy. And it'll be huge. It'll be getting a two-way guard that can shoot threes. Dominant three-point shooter in KD, dominant three-point shooter in Kyrie, dominant three-point shooter in Bradley Beal. The big three would be shooting threes. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. This makes me happy. Like, this makes me ecstatic. Like, it's crazy. Like, just to think about that. Like, 2 years ago, the Nets were low light, one of the worst teams in the NBA. We somehow, some way, get Kyrie over the Knicks. We get Kyrie and KD. They come to the Nets. Like, it's just so crazy. And now we might get Bradley Beal, one of the best two-way guards in the NBA. It's just shooting. He's a shooting guard, but he could play point guard as well. It's just like, it's crazy head scratching. Like as just other sports fans, as just other NBA fans, it's just like, you just got a head scratch. Like, you just got to sit there and just, like, wonder, like, how in the world are we doing this? Like I said, Bradley Beal, 30.5 points per game, second in the league. 4.2 rebounds per game, 129th in the league. 6.1 assists per game, 22nd in the league. Like I said, 22nd in the league, that's pretty good. 6.1 assists is quality. Like, I want a guy that can share the ball and shoot the ball. That's what I want. He's a good percentage shooter. He can hit threes. In his career, 545 games played, 511 games started, 34.6 minutes is his average. Field goal percentage, 45.2. 3-point percentage, 38. 80% field goal free throw percentage, 80.7. He's averaged 4 assists, 4 rebounds throughout his career. He's a very good player. He's a very, very good player. Definitely would be exciting. Very good two-way guard. He's 6'3", not too big. He's a very good two-way guard. He shares the ball. He can get 6 assists a game. He can get, he's not horrible at rebounding. Pretty good defender. High percentage shooter. And he's a good defender. He's not that bad. He's a pretty good defender. High percentage shooter, good defender, good three-point shooter. All you need in the NBA to win games. Right? The NBA today, three-point shooting. You know how to shoot threes? You can make a living in the NBA. All I'm saying. Bradley Beal, if he were to come to the Nets, ginormous. It would be huge for us. It would be huge. So, now let's go into Cole Anthony. So let's go into Cole Anthony here right now. So Cole Anthony might go to the Knicks. There's also some rumors now that he's going to drop all the way to 15. Cole Anthony had a very good year. The North Carolina team this year, Tar Heels, they struggled. They did not have a good year. They did not have a great year. They definitely they struggled. They were in a lot of close games. They were a young team. They lost a lot of seniors last year. A young team. Freshman coming in, and Cole Anthony had a very, very good season. And I think what everybody has Cole Anthony coming to the Knicks is because he grew up in New York. He was born in New York. I think that's why a lot of people have him going to the Knicks. Not only that, is because the Knicks are in a perfect spot. The Knicks, I think, have the 6th right now. Cole Anthony, some people have. I don't see Cole Anthony falling back to 15. I see him probably being top 10, top 7. I think he'll go to the Knicks if the Knicks can fall there. Although now the rumors that the Knicks might trade up to Lonzo Ball. Are the Knicks interested in Cole Anthony, or do they want Lonzo, or do they want somebody else, right? The Knicks have a very good big in Mitchell Robinson. They have a good guard right now, forward, whatever you want to call him, in RJ Barrett. And adding on another guard in Cole Anthony would be very good. Right, the Knicks could be a very good young team. Not very good. I shouldn't say that. They have a lot of young talent, right? They have a young talent in Mitchell Robinson. He's an underrated player. He's a very good rebounder, good blocker. He can throw it up to him. He's got points in the paint. You got a very, very good player in Cole Anthony, who's a guard, if he comes to the Knicks. And you also got a good player in RJ Barrett. That's 3 young talent right there for players like that. And you got some veterans. Taj Gibson, I don't know if he'll stay there. You got some veterans too. You got Dennis Smith Jr., some guys that have been in the league to teach those young guys, right? RJ Barrett's kind of taking that kind of leadership role, almost seems like, on the team, even though this is his first year. And that's what I think is good about RJ Barrett. Cole Anthony, on the other hand, coming from North Carolina, by far the best North Carolina player on the team. Not because they weren't that good this year. They had a lot of good talent. He was the best player on the team. He could even had a better season if he wasn't injured. He got injured a little bit, which some teams might be a little concerning. Okay, is this going to be an ongoing thing? Same thing with Tua in the Dolphins. Is his injury going to be an ongoing thing? When you get injured in college, you got to watch out. 18.5 points, 5.7 rebounds, 4 assists, 38 field goal percentage. He had a very good field goal percentage. Efficient shooter. He can hit threes. He's not a great, he shoots threes, but like I said, he also, he can also hit, he could shoot, he hits threes. But he's also a driving, get assist, right? We look here, he's got 4 assists per game. That's pretty good. He can get in the paint, get rebounds, right? And I think for a guy that only played 1 season with the Tar Heels in North Carolina, he proved himself. He really did. Okay, 55 minutes. Okay, I just wanted to see how much time. He really did prove himself. He proved himself in North Carolina. I think the injury thing, or I think he got injured. I think the injury thing, though, might be concerning to some people. Because now you have a guy that, who knows if he's going to even be able to, is he going to be able to stay healthy? Like, is he going to be able to really, really, really stay healthy? Is he going to be able to stay healthy, right? Obviously, he's going to be very, very interesting. He took an elbow to the face is how he got injured. I'm pretty sure that's how it was. But still, you still got to watch out for that injury bug, right? He's gotten injured before, so now you just have to make sure. Is it going to be like a Tua where you're going to have to worry, right? I don't think it's as bad as Tua. I think Tua's worse, but still, right? He got injured, so you have to watch out. If you're the Knicks player, whatever, scouts have to just watch out. Just be clear on that, right? I'm sure they know. This isn't new information. This is probably old, if anything, for GMs and everything, knowing that, you got to watch out with his injury stuff. But that's the thing. You got to watch out with these players these days with their injuries, right? You spend a lot of money on a player and he can't live up to expectations because he's injured. That's a problem. That's definitely a problem. Definitely a problem. Cole Anthony, if he goes to the Knicks, so that would be a very, very, very good move for the Knicks. Definitely be a good move for them. So that's what I got for the podcast. Another week in the books with the podcasts. Obviously, I don't do them on Saturday or Sunday. I'm off on the weekends. I take off on the weekends. Hopefully, everybody has a good Memorial Day weekend. It's a 3-day weekend. Hopefully, everybody has a good Memorial Day weekend. I will be back on Memorial Day. I'm not going to take off. I will be back for a pod on Memorial Day. I'm not going to take off. I'll be back here doing a podcast. I got some more stuff to talk about. There's some Jamal Adams news. I'm going to talk some more MJ documentary. Because a lot of people, they don't know. Would the Bulls have won another one with MJ? If he stayed there another year. So I got that. I'll probably talk about that on Monday, and I'll probably talk Jamal Adams, and I think I might talk a little NHL with the whole 24 playoff team format. So I think that's what's going to be up on Monday, and then whatever happens during the weekend, if there's a sports move or whatever. There's probably deal I don't think is going to happen, but if there's any more news on that, what's going to ever happen with Jamal Adams? Supposedly they're like an in-pays stage right now, passe stage, which means I had to Google it because I didn't know it, which usually means 2 sides aren't negotiating and like 2 sides are on different pages. I had to Google it because it was past my dictionary. So, I don't know. But I'll talk more about that on Monday. Everybody, Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. I'll see you back here on Monday. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.